have, and I saw what you have, and they're going to love it.
Yeah, I think so too. So jumping right into it, we're going to talk about combating volatility, okay? Like I said, crazy climate in GMB right now. If you do get a suspension, listen, even if you guys haven't gotten a suspension yet, which is congrats, like that's incredible. It's not a terrible idea to be prepared for it, to set the expectations to your clients that it is a volatile Google or a GMB climate right now. And I'm going to go through some things you can use if you were suspended, or some stuff you can preemptively put together in case you do get a suspension. So first thing is performing some admin tasks. This is arguably a lot of this can be put onto your client's plate. That it'll be stuff they have to do. And this is stuff like if your GMB name doesn't match the business name of your client, or whomever owns the GMB, you're going to want to get a DBA put into place. If that is already put into place, great. Make sure you get the paperwork. And that goes for anything else I talk about in this whole section. Getting everything together and consolidating it into a file that's just a part of your client's workbook or whatnot. It's a really good idea. It'll save headaches in the long run should there ever be an issue. But that's a big one. If the name doesn't match, that's not good. That's a potential massive issue. Another big one is if you know your client has a virtual office, a Black Hat GMB, or there's just something funky with the address. Getting that taken care of ASAP is really smart. I know it can be a pain in the neck kind of redoing citations or going through the rigmarole of what it entails to move addresses, but there's even a lot of times people really run into a brick wall. They're like, well, hey, we do service that suburb, but we don't have, or that other city, that neighboring city, but we don't have an address. In cities, towns, both small and big, far and wide, there's tons of office space you can grab and actually have a physical office really inexpensively. They have it in the small town I'm in. I know they have them in New York and LA. So anywhere in between, you're going to be able to grab an office space. And I know around here, you can grab them for as little as a few $100s a month. Bigger cities, it's probably going to cause the price to go up, but it doesn't matter. You have to look at the cost you're going to pay for something like that and say, is it justifiable? Am I going to realize an ROI by getting the call volume in that area? And more times than not, it's definitely seen as an expense no one wants to pay, but the ROI will definitely be there if you can get a nice stream of leads out of it. So those are probably the two biggest admin tasks I can think of. Collect your documents and files and get all of that stuff together. Again, this is if they do have the DBA, the fictional paperwork, their business license. Get all of that stuff together. Another thing, grab some pictures of the office, signage, anything like that. Utility bills with the name that's on the GMB on the bill, showing that the bill is going to that address, that the business is really there. I understand that might seem extreme, but I'm calling on a lot of data, personal data from our agencies that we see sometimes what Google asks for, and having that stuff ready and you can present that. You can cut a lot of time off the back and forth with a Google rep. Another thing, and this might seem really extreme, but I know Chaz had to go through this in the locksmith space when he was working in that area a lot more. But actual video where you're going into the office front or you're showcasing the signage, anything that you can do and put together is going to be beneficial in the long run. That also gives you some rich media you can use in other places as well. But stuff like that's really going to help you. Set reminders to consistently call and follow up. Look, guys, if you look right now, I think Google support has a 3-week lead time just to get back with you. Making sure your follow-up game's on point is going to be really important. Set Google Calendar alerts, have them in Evernote, Trello board with the aging factor, whatever you have to do to make sure someone's going to be following up is extremely important. And this can seem a bit humorous, but I'm actually not really joking. Try to get someone else to live in that void. There's a lot of back and forth, and this system works. It will work. It's just, if you talk to a different Google rep a different day, you can get a completely different experience. And, it's just coming from having seen our employees and our VAs and stuff work with Google support and Google reps in a lot of different environments. it's insane. It's a very large company. You talk to a lot of different people. So try to try to set this up and hand it off to someone else, because it's gonna drive you crazy to an extent. So that's basically it for that. One of the biggest things we see causing the suspensions right now is when people are updating the GMB. And thus far we've had 0 issues updating the GMB through the GMB through the GMB API. These are 2 reviews we got just really recently about people were suffering from suspensions, and they just weren't being able to change phone numbers or change anything. As you can see, the suggest and edit route didn't work in that circumstance. And so far, Local Viking, if you're a customer, anytime you change something in Local Viking, it's done through the GMB API. So we've had, like I said, I'm not going to sit and put a guarantee that like you'll be able to it'll just work every time forever. But we haven't had any issues that I know of. And between Chaz and I, we manage quite a few GMBs. So really good data on that thus far. Also a huge caveat. Please don't sign up just to do an immense amount of spam. We are keeping an eye on that type of stuff. We're not trying to sound – I don't want to sound like a jerk, but we want to keep the API clean. We want to make sure that platform's on the up and up. So, please don't put your 20,000 Black Hat GMBs in there and try to do some crazy updates that are against the TOS, like names that aren't real business names and stuff like that. We are trying to be on the lookout for that. So I don't know if I missed anything or not. Chaz, do you have anything to add to that?
Just real briefly, when it comes to if you are ever in the route of dealing with a suspended business listing, having that documentation is paramount. Like they are going to ask for some of it, guaranteed. They're going to ask for some of it, and depending on how spammy your listing is, they may ask for all of it. Or if you're trying, like Mark said, if you're trying to verify or a locksmith, like you're going to need to do video verification. So the more of those documents you have, so if you have somebody that gets a shared office, and you can have them as long as that's actually where you see clients, but you should tell your client then, like, hey, immediately take photos of your signage on your desk. Make sure your signage is on the board of the building. Get photos of that. Get a copy of the lease with the business name matching your GMB listing. You're dotting your I's and crossing your T's to potentially one of your bigger assets that you have in an online brand. But that's all I had. Just reiterate that.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah, super important. It might seem a bit extraneous, but you'll wish you had it if you have a suspension and they start really, really grinding you up about not having that stuff together. So having said that, this leads right into the extremely actionable piece. We're going to show you guys how to really boost your rankings. This isn't anything new, but proximity is still king. And I think like stuff like hyperlocal and stuff, it gets a bit overused. We're literally going to show you how we get faster and better results from hyperlocal optimization. When I personally say hyperlocal, I'm going to be walking you guys through optimizing literally on the GPS coordinate level, individual nodes. And Chaz is going to talk some about that and more on the neighborhood level. So it's actually true hyperlocal optimization. And when I say faster results, I believe that Chaz is going to show you results from case studies he did. And the rankings increased dramatically starting within like 3 days, I believe, Chaz?
Yeah, it was very quick. It was like, we're looking at like 72 hours and we start seeing the needle move locally, even organically too. This actually worked organically just because we're geotagging and becoming more relevant all around. But yeah, 72 hours, man, we moved the needle.
Yeah, and this isn't an old case study. This isn't like data we dug up from a year ago. Chaz just did these tests like a week ago or maybe a week and a half by the time you guys see this. Like, it's it moves the needle. It's very powerful. So yeah, we'll be optimizing the GPS level. Google loves proximity. We now have the power more so than we ever did to optimize at the node level. I'm going to show you guys exactly what that means. It is fast and easy. So I'm about to go over the shoulder. I'm going to show you step by step how to easily and cheaply create the media and the content. What you're going to see me do once you have someone trained, once someone's moving and not moving at the pace in which you guys can see exactly what I'm doing, once you have someone that's really knocking out this process, it should take between 1.5 and 2 minutes, 90 seconds to 120 seconds. We did some pretty heavy time studying on it already. I'm going to show you how to optimize it efficiently and effectively. And also we're going to be able to reuse the media to complement Chaz's strategies he will be sharing after I'm done. So let's jump right into it. All right. First things first, I want to jump into my local Viking account. I'm doing a GeoGrid. Just to get started, I want you guys to pay attention to one major thing. I'm going to be showing you optimizing a basement and windows demonstration account. It doesn't have any reviews. It doesn't have anything, which is why you're going to see something different on this side. I'm going to show you a local roofer. Just because he has reviews, it's a real business. This is just to be transparent. This is not a client of mine, but just for demonstration purposes, I want to show you how we would go about doing this. And obviously, I can't show real client accounts, so I have to show you on a demo listing, but you will see the actual work being done. So if you guys see, like, why is he, this is a roofing company and he's making a post to a Windows listing, that's why, okay? So first thing, I'm gonna grab the map URL for this listing, and I'm gonna do the keyword search roofing company. Again, I'm not gonna add any type of local relevant query in there, local modifiers, keep it broad. I'm gonna let the system do the heavy lifting there. I'm gonna select using SAB. In other platforms where they just use the Google API, the data is not really true because they're missing all of the service area business data. This also, the API costs money. If you're a local Viking customer, you know how we show you how to use Google's crediting system to get free API searches, but at the end of the day, they can add up quick. The SAB, we have no limit on thus far, so you can just use the SAB. There's no reason not to. I'm going to have the nodes about a half a mile apart, and as you can see, they're ranking really well in this cluster, but as we start to get outside of this cluster, the rankings fall. So what I like to do, I'm going to start right where it's, it says there 6 and 9 and 5. Right here on this outer circle, I want to push these into the 3-pack. The reason I start here is because, again, proximity is everything. It's a very, very powerful, if not arguably the most powerful ranking factor. I'm not here to debate that. It's just what we're seeing. If you have a different opinion, you may have it. But I want to start here. If I start out here, I'm afraid Google's going to say, look, they don't have enough authority yet to be out here. I want to start building the hyper local signals right on the outside of this cluster, and I can expand from there indefinitely to the campaign's over, right? So if I click here, let's say we want to improve this 6. Also, another thing to consider, even this 13 that's close, if I bump this up 5 spots to number 8 using this strategy just in the first run, but I bump this up 5 spots, I'm going to have a lot more impact, right, on the business by moving more of their area into the 3-pack rather than just increasing rankings, but it's still not in the 3-pack. So that's also why I'm using the logic I am. If you click on this node, you can see we now offer the latitude and longitude for each node. That's super helpful, and you'll see why. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a post, and I'm going to include an image, but I'm going to optimize the image. Now, everyone watching this is probably thinking, hey, I know about image optimization. It's not new. It's not an innovative strategy. However, what is innovative is instead of tagging or creating the EXIF data, the metadata of the photo in a third-party tool, and then uploading it to GMB and having your EXIF data wiped, pay attention, it's wiped when it gets uploaded to optimize the file size, and it cleans all of that out. We're forcing the EXIF data through the GMB API, okay? Now you might say, hey, isn't Google reading the EXIF data anyway? But the idea here is that every time we make an upload, we're compiling the information, and we're forcing Google to read it and understand it and associate it with this listing. And another thing we did is we automated a bunch of the EXIF data creation, which you'll see in a second. So what I want to do, I'm going to jump over to my listing, and I'm going to go to create a new post, okay? And I'm going to get ready. And here's how I'm going to generate the content, because now we need content, and we also need a unique image or some type of media. So I'm going to pop over to their listing. Here's a really cool trick. They will show you how to quickly and inexpensively grab media. I'm going to click the reviews, and then I'm going to sort by highest rating. And then I'm going to grab a screenshot of the review. That's going to be my media. And now, if you have multiple screens or what have you, you can use a notepad or just have two screens kicking and you can copy this data over. I'm on a single screen laptop at the moment, and I also, for some reason, the notepad isn't showing on the screen share. So I'm going to be doing a little back and forth, but in case you think, why the heck's he jumping back and forth, that is why. So I'm going to copy the review itself. I'm going to, whoops. Give me 1 second. I'm going to pop into here, and I'm going to paste the review right into the GMB post. I'm going to throw in quotes. Next thing, I'm going to move that down, and I'm going to throw some content in here. And I have my team members just do like, thank you. Whoops, if I could type, so much for the kind words. Kind words. We work really hard to provide the best roofing services in Baltimore. We love this type of feedback, whatever, right? Just throw something in there. Oops, type of, perfect. So what we're doing here, and just to take a quick pause, I have them throw this together pretty quickly. If you say, hey, I want to add more content, by all means you can. You can go as far as using like Surfer or Pop or something, and you can actually make very optimized content for these. I just like to keep it quick and fast because more so than the post, I like posts. I like some of the stuff we can do with them. We're seeing in controlled testing more benefit coming from the optimized images than we are the posts. And, you know, that there's some people that might have data that, you know, kind of is contrary to that, and that's fine, but I'm just kind of pushing my logic out there. You guys can modify this strategy however you want. Okay, from here we're going to pop back over. I'm going to click the share button on that review, and I'm going to copy because we're going to paste a link to that review. Okay. I also want to grab the website that the GMB links to, the URL, I should say, that the GMB links to. So if this is an inner page, whatever, but I always like to continue to make that association. It's my personal preference. And then I always insert previous post to the SERP URL. That's going to automatically add in this token, and that's going to link to the last Google post we made. If you have a GMB site, this is every post you make creates an inner page on the GMB website, and adding this is going to daisy chain them all together. It's going to make a massive interlinked, website pretty much. sorry for the pause. From there, you can do whatever you want here. You can add other links. You can link to the maps places. You can add your NAP. I encourage you to. But this is a good start, right? And this is, we're quickly curating some content. Next step is we're going to grab the image. So right here we do have a stock media engine where you can do a search and it'll pull in the image for you. We're going to grab this screenshot we just took. We're going to throw that in. We can crop it down. We're going to jump right to EXIF. We're going to go edit the EXIF data. And now here's where things get really, really cool, guys. We're going to click recommended EXIF, and it's going to programmatically populate a templated EXIF set of EXIF data for you using data right from the GMB and whatnot. So from here, we should be getting really close to having it pipe the categories into these keywords. But for now, if you would like to add your own, whatever, you can do that. However you'd like to do it. You can modify any of this. If you want to pull this out, you may. But the next thing, this is really important. you have the GPS lat long options. I want to deselect the radio button. This will use the GPS from the business location. And we want to pop back up here. And I'm going to grab the latitude. Oops. Sorry, I keep pulling the recorder down. I'm going to grab the latitude and drop it in there. And then I'm also going to grab the longitude. We'll drop that in there. And then we're going to, okay. And that is our optimized image. We can schedule the post out. You can do a ton of these. Again, it doesn't take long at all. But back to the entire, the original idea is, this is how well they're ranking in their area. If you go to their service area, I mean, they're covering way outside of Baltimore. They're covering all the way up into pieces of Reisterstown, and in a lot of cases, businesses, they aren't, especially a roofer or a service-based contractor that'll travel, 30 to 60 minutes to do a job, getting them visibility in these surrounding areas is extremely important. And this is one of the ways to do it. Now, once you get these images uploaded, you'll be able to download them. It'll maintain the EXIF data, so it is a complete geotagging image optimization engine inside of Local Viking. You can click the recommended EXIF. You can modify however you want, but it's an extremely, extremely fast way to do your images. And yes, we do have a bulk image upload and optimization update coming probably within the next week or two. So for any questions on that, so you can grab those images right back out of Local Viking, and you can use them you can use them as a part of the strategy Chaz is going to show you next. So I'm going to pass it over to him. I think he's going to blow your mind. He's going to show you some rankings from the case studies that were ran. And if anyone has any questions, I'll be happy to answer it after the video. So I'm going to pass it off to you, Chaz.
Awesome stuff, Mark. Thanks for that. I really like some of the image stuff we're seeing with Local Viking. This features a lot of that as well. And then also the GeoGrid, you're going to see how we use that to help us target and rank for top-level keywords even better. Let me go ahead and start sharing my screen. All right, there we go. Ranking for top-level keywords using relevancy. Let's dive right into it. Before we get too far, though, we have to talk a brief recap about the top ranking factors. I'm pulling this right from Google. Google's not lying to you when they tell you it's these three. It's just a very basic understanding of how it works, but understanding it even at a basic level is paramount to local success. The first thing, distance, is the top ranking factor that tell you how far is each potential search result from the location used in a search. It's super important when you're doing local SEO to read these things fully and really understand what they're telling you. Number two is prominence. Just literally at a very simple version is which listing's stronger. They use a bunch of online factors. They even look at some offline factors, and then it's basically they rank the stronger listing. Relevance, though, is what we're talking about today, and relevance really refers to how well a listing matches what someone is searching for. Adding complete and detailed business information can help Google better understand your business and match your listing to relevant searches. So really important to understand how those three work. And you'll see later on in this presentation how they all play a part as well. But let's dive into relevance more deeply, and we'll talk about why relevancy matters. So why do you create relevance? Well, first of all, you do it to match your GMB listing with searched for terms. Next, it helps qualify your GMB listing to appear in relevant search results. So let's just speak about that real briefly. If in your example, Mark, you were using a Baltimore roofer, if we have a listing that does not talk about roofer, does not talk about Baltimore, not anywhere on their listing, not anywhere on their website, obviously they're not relevant for roofing, and Google isn't even going to return them when they pull back the initial set of results, which then they rank to produce a 3-pack and your local map results. So if you're not relevant, you don't even show up. Relevancy can also help your GMB listing appear for a wider range of search terms. This would help you increase your keyword market share, and relevancy can help your GMB listing become more relevant for a larger geographic area. And this is more increasing your local visibility. Very easy, how to increase relevancy. Again, I'm pulling some of this right from what Google tells us. You add detailed business information that relates your listing to a niche product or service. And also you can add detailed information that relates to specific geolocations. That increases your listing's relevancy for those terms and or locations. Another way is co-citation between your business and niche businesses, and co-citations between your business and specific geolocations. I'm not going to get too much into co-citation in this training. That's more of even a higher level thing. But understanding that co-citation can create relevance to where to create relevancy. You can see there's 5 things listed here. There's actually 6, but I didn't put the 6th one. But let's just briefly talk about these. So the first place you're going to create relevancy is the business website. Your business website has to tell Google what you do and where you do it. And if you want to do more things in more places, your business website has to say that as well. The next place is your GMB site content. The next one is GMB posts. The next one is GMB services and products section, and then GMB photos. You can see all those last 4 there are all parts of your GMB listing, places you can create relevance. You can also create relevance on GMB reviews. But I'm not putting that there because then you would have to use the review content to say your specific locations or keywords, and you really don't have that much control over what the reviews actually say when you're getting them in a white hat manner. So I didn't even go there. And same thing like with your listing name. Again, we know you can create relevance just by adding a keyword to your listing name, but I'm not going to put that there because that's moving away from the white hat. You don't need to go black hat for relevancy. You don't need to spam your GMB name for relevancy. You don't need to, suggest keyword stuffed reviews for creating relevance. You don't need to go to that extent. These 5 things will help create the relevance you need in a white hat manner, very sustainable and safe. So let's look at the type of relevancy you can create. And again, here's an example of this. We're going to show you some live tests we do. This is actually a screenshot of the content or part of the content that we use. But you can see we create geo content, we create niche content, and then we create local silos. And if you look here, we have geo and niche. That's the 2 types of relevancy, geo and niche relevancy, right? Geo relevancy helps you relate your business to a location. Niche relevancy creates a relationship between your business and products and services, but they're not mutually exclusive, right? So you can do both. Example is our local silos we're going to show you. They have a local landing page that does both. It talks about the additional location, and then it also talks about our niche. But then it combines with some geo articles that absolutely just talk about the geolocation and not even the niche at all. And you'll see some examples of these, but they can be intertwined and used together very effectively. I have 3 tests I'm going to show, all local silo tests. That means I have a location page that's optimized for a location that we're not actually located in, but targeting because we're increasing our service area. And then I have geo-supporting content underneath the location page acting as a silo. I'll show you how the anchors we use. I'll show you how to interlink everything, how to daisy chain it, what links to where. I also pulled some baseline reports. So we're using the demo as a painter that's not actually located in any of these places. So this painter is actually located in a different little city called Hanover, but we're going to be getting them visibility in a place called Abbottstown, East Berlin, Littlestown, Thomasville. The 3 I'm going to show you, I think, are just the first 3. Thomasville, that's going to be reserved more for our Baltimore mastermind session, I think, because I used a different way for that. But you can see the initial baseline reports that we pulled from SERP on 8/21. So like Mark said, this was a very recent test. literally we did this when we're recording it, we're the 1st of September. So literally this was like a week and a half ago. Here's our baseline. You can see for these 7 nowhere, 6 nowhere, these are 3-pack rankings using SERPLab. Then we also pulled a local Viking GeoGrid. And again, don't use location keywords for it. Just use your top level keywords here. For a top level keywords painter, you can see the rankings that we got in these other locations. You can see up here in East Berlin, we're 12 in Abbottstown. This is for a top level keyword. Keep that in mind. We're going to use this later on, even for some bigger and better things. And again, just a caveat with this demo, this is just a demo site. So the examples I'm going to show you of the pages, the URLs, the pages might not be optimized to best practices. I can tell you they aren't, but they have the minimal viable, basically the minimal viable work that needs to be done to create this local silo. And then obviously you can create the local page better. You can create more relevancy if you want on the pages themselves. But what we are targeting, again, for these 3, Abbottstown, East Berlin, and Littlestown, using the local silo, these are local landing pages that are going to be added to our nav menu, and they will link to our home page using our local painter keyword variations. And then the local silo has geo articles that are interlinked to each other, siloed underneath of our landing page. And I'll show you this. Here it is. Let's actually look at some examples. So here's our landing page. And then you can see here's our locations, our geo silo. Let's actually go here and take a look. Here's our East Berlin landing page. Again, not fully optimized to best practices, just a minimal viable product. But it does link to my home page, the page that's linking to my GMB using a very close or near match keyword anchor text right here. I daisy chain it to my geo silo right there. And then I also link to my GMB CID URL, again, using a close keyword variation. I go very aggressive with my internal links and with my links to my GMB CID. I like to try to push that relevancy. And again, this links to the home page, but using this location page as the anchor, right? This geolocation as the anchor. And then this links into additional geo content. We can look at this. Again, this page has nothing to do about painting, nothing to do about niche. This is all geo relevancy right here. This is a geo-relevant article. The only place it talks about painter is where I link this back to our location page. And you can see our location page is in the nav menu right there. Just wanted to point that out. So this links back to our location page. And then it also daisy chains to the next geo-relevant content. So you can see what we're writing about, just history of, resources in, things to do. Again, this one, all of my geo pages linking back to my location lander, and my location lander then pushes home to the GMB. Now, if this had its own GMB, I wouldn't link it home like that, but that's another matter. In this example, I have to. But you can see our interlinking strategy, understanding this is for a service area business. Storefront would just be a minor difference if they actually had locations in each of them. You would actually link this one at link home. Then you wouldn't, it would be a standalone lander. But that's all it is that I put on my website. Landing page, a little bit of local content, and then I combine that with GMB listing optimization. So anything you do on your website, again, Google's going to crawl your website saying, what does this company do, right? And they're going to look at the content. If you tell them on your website that you do painting and you do painting in East Berlin, then you have to have that backed up a couple more places. And one of those places is obviously the GMB listing. And we do that by doing geotagged photos in local Viking. I'll show you an example in a second. We do GMB posts. We add it to GMB services, and then we do add it to the GMB site content. We're going to go through each one of these briefly so you see exactly how we add this relevant content to our GMB listing. Let's go right in here. Here's our media file up in local Viking. This is actually our East Berlin one. So we geotagged this for East Berlin using the lounge and lat of East Berlin, even making sure the file name, when we added our XF, we made sure to add, East Berlin Painter to our file name, to our keyword area. Obviously, we just went in, fully optimized this. This image, then we take this image, we anchor our painter page with this image. We anchor our resources pages with this image. We also take this image, then it becomes an image in our GMB post, which is right here. I will make my PowerPoint slide available to anybody on this Webby, so that way you have all the links yourself. You can just click through and see exactly how this puzzle gets put together to create real relevancy. But here's our GMB post. Again, I'm just up in local Viking here. Go to your post. This is our post right here. Let's just pull it up. But again, my image is geotagged in the post, and I do a nice post about it. Let it come up. Again, I'm posting here. You can see what we're doing. We're targeting this location with this post. We're linking to our location lander, so we're linking to our East Berlin page in here. Oh, you could add some additional links in here if you wanted. You could add NAP in here. There's multiple ways to do it. The biggest thing though is making sure images geotag, making sure you at least get this linking back. You could interlink these things. Again, some of these are, some of these aren't. I was going pretty fast on them. I did a whole bunch of them. And then also, in addition to GMB photo, GMB post, I like to add it to my service area. I like to just a little snippet in here. Even though they stopped showing services on the website, still do it. I need to do some single variable testing for this at this point though, but I still do this. Last time I tested, I got good results from it, so I still continue doing it. But I do think it might be worthwhile now looking at some single variable tests, especially now that they added products. Services are no longer appearing on the website. When I say website, I mean GMB site, like they used to. So something to keep in mind there, but still part of our process. Then obviously on the GMB site itself, I like to add just something in here. Again, you don't have to do a link in here. I was just testing some different, you can see this one doesn't have a link, this one does. I didn't see any difference adding a link or not. But those literally, that's all. The only 5 places on the GMB listing I add this, and I would test GMB services at this point. Whoops. But you can see I did this across not only East Berlin, but I also did it for Abbottstown, the exact same structure. If you check, I have the exact same type of interlinking structure as well for them. Exact same optimizations on the GMB listing. Obviously, they're, for that location. And then once we did this, we're going to show the results now. So on the 21st, we pulled the GeoGrid report. In our top level keyword for East Berlin, we went from 12. By 8:26, when we pulled another one, we were at 3. So we had a huge, tremendous impact there. Abbottstown, not quite so big. Littlestown actually went down 1. Hanover, I have a different silo running for that. We actually went up a little bit there. But the big one I wanted to show was, we definitely pushed some movement here just on the top level keyword. So we went from 12 to 3 on our top level keyword. We went from 12 to like 9 on this one. So we definitely, and this was only in 5 days. So we could have continued pushing, right? And there's more things we could have did. So we did, we could have started then building signals to these locations off page. So we could have did brand mentions and stuff where the content talks about the locations, where they talk about businesses in that location as well. That's where you get into co-citations, things like that. But literally just this basic level minimal viable optimization, if we want to, in 5 days, had this type of results that we clocked. And then I'm going to show you some local results themselves. So the actual, when you include the keyword in them, the results were even just so much more amplified. We went from 7 to 2. We went from nowhere to 1. We went from 6 to 5. We went from nowhere to 2 on this one. Again, here's our rank tracker. Here's our before. Here's our pooling after. You can just see across the board we had really great results. Definitely a very easy way to expand your visibility. Again, these are locations up to 10, possibly 12 miles away from where the business is actually located. Additional cities even were starting to get popping using this. And these are top, these are way more competitive than some of these. But we definitely see really great results just by a very simple level of optimization where we're focusing on relevancy. And you can see here some more results, incognito results, just pulling right there we are. But what we can take this strategy, this exact strategy we just did for a small location that's literally not in a big city. It's kind of out in a rural area. And the only way to get visibility there is you have to rank in additional towns around you, right? But what if you're in a very large metro area like Los Angeles, Houston, Chicago, New York, even Baltimore, right? How to use this strategy in a large location like that? Especially when we know if we're trying to rank in Baltimore and then we go and try to rank in another city 10 miles away, it might be pretty hard because some of those cities are really big. And you don't even rank that well in Baltimore sometimes. So how do you use this to dominate? Well, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to identify the neighborhoods to target with local Viking, right? That's the first thing we're going to do. And then we're going to do some replacements of my examples I just showed you with what we're actually going to be targeting here. We're literally just going to take the same format I used and replace some keywords and locations. And we're just going to implement the strategy. So let's start really quick and look at this first thing, because it's the most important part of this is this: identifying where you're weak at and identifying the neighborhoods we need to target to improve our rankings there. So you can see this is a demo. We're going to do this place looking at their rankings for business lawyer in Baltimore. And you can see they rank pretty well in the downtown area, right? They rank pretty well, but you can see they have some weakness over in here. They get weak over here. And that's typically how GMB listings work. Typically, as GMB listings get stronger, they radiate out from the center location, wherever the pin drop is for the business. They typically get stronger from there outward in a radiating effect. So they'll get stronger as you build more brand signals. They'll slowly start getting their visibility out and out. But then you'll get patches like this where you just have nothing. And you say, well, what if this is a very important area for my client, Station North or Mount Vernon? Say my client needs to be there. And you can see right now, according to Local Viking, they're not there. But when I look at, so what I do is I take Local Viking, I find where I need to be and where I need to focus on and identify those. So you can see here in my example, I'm identifying Station North, Mount Vernon. So let's take Station North as our example. Say I have to get this business relevant for Station North because they need to start popping here. They need to start popping this map pack. How do I do it? I simply replace East Berlin, from my example, with Station North, Baltimore, Maryland. Right? I just plug and play it right in. I'm not going to go through each one. This is my strategy. The GMB post is going to be about Station North, Baltimore, Maryland instead of East Berlin. GMB services is going to talk about Station North, Baltimore. The geotagged photo is going to be geotagged for the Station North, Baltimore node for that longe and lat right there. And it's going to be optimized using these keywords. Right? The exact strategy we just went over for East Berlin, we're going to do for Station North. And then our niche is obviously whatever. Instead of painter, we're just adding whatever it is. In this case, business lawyer, right? And here's your resulting, what it would look like. You would look something like this. You would create a little landing page for Station North, have some geo-siloed content under it. You'd have a Station North Baltimore GMB post, would look something like this. That would interlink, obviously, like we showed you. It would link back to here. This page would obviously link to the page linking to their GMB just like we showed you, using the anchor text we explained. Add it to your services for GMB. Make sure you get this photo. Very important. Optimize the photo. Make sure it's not only in your post, in your GMB, but you can add it to your location page. You can add it to these geo pages. And then also make sure it's on your GMB site somewhere. And that simple strategy, what that's going to do, you saw just like it did for East Berlin, where, and I'll explain in a second why this works. But what's going to happen is for anybody in that Station North area, it's going to boost their rankings for business lawyer, even if they don't specify that they're searching for Station North, Baltimore, Maryland. And the reason they do that is because we circle back to what Google tells us about distance. For our top level keywords, obviously nobody's going to specify they're looking for a business lawyer in Station North. They're probably just going to type business lawyer. What happens then is Google geolocates them to Station North, Baltimore, Maryland. We just completely optimized our GMB listing for our website, our content. We're now the relevant business. Nobody else optimized for that specific hyper-local location like we did. And because they're not using their search term, they're not using their location term in their search, as long as Google can geolocate them to that neighborhood, we're the most optimized business listing for that specific neighborhood. We're the one that they're going to show. We can take that micro level targeting and it will affect our top level keyword, just like it did for Painter. It will affect our top level keyword like business lawyer, anything else we're optimizing for. Super powerful strategy. It's a little bit more of a longer term strategy because you have to go neighborhood by neighborhood, even zip code by zip code. But you can do it and it works very effectively. And because very few people are optimizing like that, you're the most relevant listing when people are doing top level keyword searches, because Google's so we hyper locally optimize them. Google hyper locally figures out where they're located at using their GPS longe and lat, and they're putting them there. And they're saying, you know what, there's nobody more relevant for Station North than this guy that's optimized for it. So that's why it works. So hopefully you can take this strategy, tear it apart, put it into your systems, however it makes sense for you, but definitely start using this because it is a very viable strategy to increase not only your keyword market share, but also your local visibility, your geographic area, if you will. So hopefully it's pretty good. I'm going to stop sharing, pass it back to Mark. Sorry if I ran long.
No, I think that was awesome, man. Thank you very much. So yeah, guys, basically we just wanted to do a quick State of the Union address. We know there's a lot of volatility, a lot of crazy stuff happening. Please, hopefully you guys took notes. Please use this stuff. I guarantee you the advice I gave at the beginning on how to get a legitimate listing on Suspended, that's how you do it. We've been having great success with making edits to the local Viking API, the GMB API. And again, the hyper local stuff that Chaz and I ran through it's the money right now in GMB. It gives you, Google's picking up quickly on those signals. And that's why it's nice sometimes to test on lower comp stuff because you want to see how quick Google's reading the signals. And in this case, it's in a matter of days it starts to affect rankings. So, no, I think that was awesome, Chaz. And, I hope everyone enjoyed. We'll answer any questions you guys have about the video. Just let us know.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I promised I wasn't going to turn this into a pitch fest, and I plan on keeping that promise, but I do need just 2 minutes. Just give me 2 minutes, and we can make your life easier. I'm trying to save you money today so you can take your agency to the next level tomorrow. And look, you saw some of the cool stuff we were doing with Local Viking in the training, and here's the thing. You don't have to buy. You can go use the training, and you can get the same results that we get. You can crush the local SEO competition. No big deal. But if you want to scale your GMB efforts, if you want to have better reporting, better tracking, and be able to optimize at a more granular level, then I would suggest jumping on board with us. And again, guys, we have the GMB GeoGrid. We're also the only company on the planet right now to have the surface area business GeoGrid, which provides you with the blended results. And of course, we have the exportable time-lapse GIF. As you can see, you can literally track this and export this for your client over time so they can watch the campaign mature and progress, and they can see their visibility increase right before their eyes. There's literally, you're going to be hard pressed to show me reporting that is on par with that. Clients love it. Listen, we run real agencies. Clients love this stuff, guys. Be on the cutting edge with your tech. The clients love it. Of course, we have all the GMB posting, the GMB automation. We have review management in there. We have traditional rank tracking as well. The GMB photos, you guys saw what we did in there, how we could automate adding the metadata, adding the EXIF data, how we can automate optimizing the image, how we can add the, we can optimize the image on that GPS coordinate level. There's no other system that lets you pull in GPS coords and optimize quite like that. And the automation's only going to get better, guys. It's only going to get crazier. Anyone that's been with us for any type of time can tell you the last 12 months or so of our roadmap has been insane. We started out just GMB posting. Look where we're at now. There's very few companies that have quite as aggressive as a roadmap as us. There's quite a few companies that are investing in their engineering like we are, and you guys can be along for the ride. Of course, we have our art system, the attribute locking. Malicious edits are huge, and it's getting even bigger, and we now have the automated reversion technology to help you guys out. The reporting is coming soon. That's literally any day. You guys will have just gorgeous reporting. It's very digestible. You can automate it. It'll send to your clients. It has the GeoGrid. It has the time lapse, all of that stuff. And here's the thing, guys, for the next 7 days or so, we're going to grandfather you in at these insane prices. This clock will reset. Sorry, our dev got a little ambitious. This will reset. If you compare us to other solutions on the market that don't even quite do as much as we do, we're killing them on price. This is the old price. You can jump in at this price and get grandfathered. Or I'm sorry, will be our new pricing. This is the old pricing. This is going to go up to the $390 per location. Again, if you do the yearly, we're going to give you 2 months free. This is not going to be this cheap in the next week or so, guys. We're going to reset this calendar to about 7 days, and that is it. No ifs, ands, buts, no excuses. And look, I know every marketer in the world uses urgency and time scarcity, and we do too, because you know what? It works. But here's the thing. You're not going to ever find a situation where we went back on our pricing and ended up coming in cheaper or the same price. When we say you'll never see this price again, you won't. And it's not because we want to just make more money. It's because we've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars into this engineering, and we want to continue to make it better, and it just can't stay this cheap forever. But for the next 7 days, guys, you can grab this, you can get grandfathered in. Right now, there's also no limit on the GeoGrids. Guys, think about that again. There's competitors that are charging $10+ per each GeoGrid run. Our SOB GeoGrid run has 0 limits at the moment, and that will be changing as well. You'll get grandfathered in with no GeoGrid limits. And we already have a ton of testimonials. People are loving the platform. It says 50,000. We're managing over 100,000 listings right now. We have tons of data on what works, and we're using that data to continue to improve our technology. So guys, again, you don't mind this. We're going to reset this. You guys have about 7 days to jump in and get grandfathered into these prices. And if I were you, I would not wait. We're going to start increasing the pricing more aggressively as we add in some more enterprise features. Again, very aggressive roadmap. We've come a long way. Thank you for everyone who's been a user. We love you guys, and we're going to continue to kick butt and add in awesome features. So that's it, guys. Again, I didn't want to turn this whole Webby into a big pitch fest. You know, it ended up being 5 minutes at the end here. Thanks a lot for checking it out. If you end up buying, I'll see you on the inside when you join the Viking Army. If not, no big deal. I hope you enjoyed the content. Share it with a friend. Use it and increase your rankings. And I'll see you later, guys.